Yes, thanks very much. Welcome to West London. As you can see, I'm here pitchside with Gary Neville ahead of the huge Super Sunday game between Fulham and Liverpool. But Gary, let's start with the team news for Manchester United. A big game for Eric Ten Hag at the home of football at Wembley, the semi-final against Coventry. Only one fit centre-back, Harry Maguire. We're not quite sure, potentially Casemiro to play at centre-back. How much of a blow will that be?
Yeah, I mean, that's the one position, along with left-back, the two positions that have been a real problem for Manchester United in the last few weeks. They've got all their other players fit in the other positions, but those two having a nightmare with, and yeah, it gives Coventry more of a chance than maybe they had because, you know, Casemiro, I mean, he's experienced, that's the one thing he is. He's played there before, but there's a lack of pace at the heart of that defence, and it will be a worry.
Obviously, we've seen some comments, some interesting comments from Eric Ten Hag about only having his best 11 to select once in the last 18 months. What do you make to that?
Well, one, it's true, but I think that a lot of clubs in the last 12 months have had really bad injuries. I think this season seems to have been the worst I've ever known for clubs having poor records, not keeping players on the pitch. You think about Liverpool, you think about other clubs as well, Tottenham. They're all in the same position, and there's no doubt that that has a factor on United's performances, but it still doesn't explain the lows that they've hit in certain games. And I wouldn't want that to creep into the dressing room, that idea of a sort of excuse mentality. So, no, there's no doubt keeping your players fit on the pitch is down to good recruitment. It's down to making sure that you do the right things on the training pitch so that players don't get injured. Sometimes it's down to bad luck and you can't do anything about it. But it's more than that, I would say, at United, because you know they keep getting so many injuries. Then what's going wrong? What is it that's causing these injuries? You have to start looking internally as well, I would imagine.
Obviously, it's a huge game at Wembley in the semi-final, and for Manchester United, the very least they'd expect is to get to the final and win silverware. That's what that football club has done for many, many years. How defining could this game be for Eric Ten Hag and potentially this FA Cup run, should they get to the final for next season?
Well, it's huge. I mean, you talk about not winning today. I mean, if you don't win today, that's going to be a problem for any Manchester United manager in any season. Losing to Coventry in the FA Cup, so that can't even be thought about. I think that if Manchester United were to get to a final, they're going to have the work cut out because they're going to be playing against Manchester City. I suspect there were a lot of Manchester United players watching that game last night and coaches thinking that Chelsea played really well in the game. I thought they were fantastic and that they should have taken one of those chances, and that maybe you've got more of a chance against Chelsea than Manchester City. But if Eric Ten Hag was to win a trophy this season, to win 2 trophies in your first 2 seasons would be, I think, is a really good start as a Manchester United manager. But they can't go out today.
Let's have a look at today's game. Obviously here at Craven Cottage, it is set up perfectly off the back of Liverpool being knocked out of the Europa League, the disappointments from last week. You know the pressures when you're at a top club to perform week in, week out. And when you have a little blip, you have to respond. How big a psychological pressure is there for these Liverpool players to get back on track today?
We're going to find out, aren't we, 2 hours, because that's exactly what today is about. Where are they? I know they won against Atalanta, and I think Jurgen Klopp was really clever in how he shaped the pre-press, sort of the pre-match press conference, in terms of let this be the start of a new run of games that we win. Let's win this match irrespective of whether we go through in the tie. Let's make sure that we do that, and they did that. So now we'll find out today whether it's the sort of, if you like, the shift of the mentality started against Atalanta, or whether actually there is going to be a sort of, if you like, a thinking back to last weekend against Crystal Palace, the weekend before at Old Trafford. I think it's a huge game for Liverpool today. We'll find out today whether Liverpool are in this title race or not, because if they lose today, then I would say it's very little chance. But if they win, they're right back in it, and they're putting pressure on the other two.
They go level on points with Arsenal, only second on goal difference, so they're still very much in it. And history would suggest that Manchester City don't always pick up 6 wins out of 6 in their last 6 games. So there is still a chink of light that if Liverpool can do the business today, they apply the pressure again. And it's that mindset, that mentality, that mental battle that is also at play.
They have to win, and it's an awkward game. Fulham are awkward here. They pick up a lot of points at home. Liverpool have had games, lots of games, and I think that's a factor as well. But I think today it's all about Liverpool's mentality. Where are they at? Are they still carrying a little bit of doubt out of the games that they had in the last couple of weeks, or have they moved past it now with that win against Atalanta, which means that they're back in good form again? They're on the start of a new sort of, if you like, unbeaten run. But those unbeaten runs have got to be wins. They can't be draws. Draws aren't going to be enough to beat Manchester City for this title.
And just finally, you mentioned it there, the title. It's obviously gripping, it's brilliant, and I could ask you the same question every hour between now and the next few weeks, and the answer may change. How do you see things at the moment? Obviously, Arsenal respond with a win. Manchester City knocked out of Europe, but they get through the FA Cup tie. Pep talks about the fatigue in the players. How big is that going to be a big factor in terms of what happens between now and the end of the season? How do you see it?
I think that goal from Bernardo Silva last night in the semi-final of the FA Cup was huge for Manchester City. I think getting through in that game will have got them back on track. They've got obviously a big game in midweek, but so have the other clubs as well. For Arsenal and Liverpool, do your own job. Whatever you do, do your own job. Be there if Manchester City slip. My gut feeling is now, or was coming out of last weekend when both Arsenal and Liverpool lost, was that that's going to put a massive amount of pressure on the other two. I'm not sure that is going to work. I think City are going to win it now, and I was, before that, thinking City were probably going to win it. But having those two results last week, it just felt like a massive weekend and a shift of momentum. Arsenal and Liverpool have got to somehow wrestle that back, and to do that, they've just got to win their matches. Arsenal have started last night, Liverpool win this afternoon, and then you've got to see what Manchester City do. And if they do slip up in any way, shape, or form and make a mistake, you've got to be ready to be there. Not being there, if Manchester City make a mistake, would be the unforgivable, I think, for Jurgen Klopp and Mikel Arteta.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time, Gary. Co-coms today?
Yes, co-coms. Looking forward to it, and